What's up, you guys? Hope you're doing well. My name's Jeremy Verbit, and today I want to talk about why you don't need an emergency fund. Or at least, not the kind of emergency fund the financial pundits say you need. The story goes like this. What if all hell breaks loose?
Quick, let's go inside! Ah, we only got 4 hours. Let's head to the store.
This is going to take like a zillion carts. We're trying to buy all the pictures.
If you run into an emergency like that, you'll need an emergency fund or your house can come crashing down.
While it might not be the flashiest or most exciting financial goal, an emergency fund is the foundation your entire financial health is built upon. Without it, it's just a matter of time before an unexpected jolt causes a crack that will eventually bring the whole house down.
To prevent your house from crashing, you need 8 months of expenses.
You hear them say 3 to 6 months. How much do you need as an emergency fund? 3 to 6 months of living expenses. Oh, give me a break. So you need at least 8 months of an emergency fund of expenses that you have to pay every single month. That's what you need. If you go any less than that, you are taking a risk.
And you need to store it in cash, where it's accessible and you can get at it right now. Wait a minute. Why do I need this money? No, really, what can you imagine I would need 8 months expenses for right now? Comment down below. Sometimes we forget to question if the financial advice we're given makes sense. I can't think of any disaster that could happen where I'd need more than a few $100s immediately. I mean, most banks even limit your ATM withdrawals to a few $100s at once. I can think of some disasters like a car accident, home damage, or a cell phone incident.
And that is when the phone just flies. Right into the toilet. I was like, no! And then I go in after it and I fish it out. I went in. It was, okay, I don't want to touch it, but like I was like this.
But those can be put on a credit card and paid interest-free in 30 days. You can use a cash advance from a credit card or a home equity line of credit, which effectively gives you cash in exchange for equity in your house. Kinda like the opposite of a mortgage payment. Regardless, as long as you can get access to your cash in 30 days, you will be okay. Keeping a large emergency fund in cash could cost you a lot of money in opportunity cost. Let's imagine you spend $3,000 per month and have a 6-month emergency fund of $18,000. And you find a miraculous savings account offering you 1% interest on that money. Over 30 years, your $18,000 will turn into about $24,000. Pretty nice, huh? But what if I told you investing it in the stock market, where you should get about 7.5% return, will turn your $180,000 into $170,000? Since the pundits recommend saving up an emergency fund as your first financial priority, I'll go ahead and assume you have it your whole working life and compare the cash emergency fund to investing it over 60 years. Over 60 years, your $18,000 cash emergency fund grows to $33,000. While your $18,000 when invested grows to $1,610,000. Your emergency fund has cost you more than $1.5 million. Okay, so you should invest your emergency fund. But how can you explain this?
Your emergency fund is not an investment. Everybody say it with me, not an investment. Your emergency fund is insurance. You know what insurance does? It costs you money. It doesn't make you money. Why do you buy insurance if it costs you money? Because it covers your butt when things go bad.
He's got a point. The stock market can go down, and it can go down a lot. how can you keep your emergency fund in investments and ensure it's safe? The trick is the stock market won't go to zero. If it does, it means every company in the world is about to go bankrupt, and you can feel free to do this. In reality, there's a limit to the floor. The stock market has only fallen more than 50% twice in history. The Great Depression and the Great Recession. And those drops took more than a year to drop that much. So if you double the size of your emergency fund and invest it, even if the market drops by half, you'll still have 3 to 8 months expenses to cash out for emergencies. And if a 50% drop does happen, it will happen over a few paychecks, which can be used to replenish your buffered emergency fund. Now, how do we start building this buffered emergency fund? Let's say we want an emergency fund of 8 months expenses. First, save up your standard 8 months expenses the old-fashioned way in a savings account. Then, with each contribution to your emergency fund in excess of 8 months, take out an equivalent amount out of your savings account and invest it along with your contribution. To be clear, let's
Run the numbers.
Assuming our $3,000 per month expenses, first save 8 times $3,000 or $24,000 in a savings account. Then let's say we have $500 per month to add to our emergency fund. Take that $500 and an additional $500 out of your savings account and invest the full $1,000 in an investment account. This way, $23,500 of your emergency fund is safe in a savings account, and $500 of your emergency fund is doubled to $1,000 or buffered in a relatively risky but highly rewarding investment account. But the kind of investment account you use matters. It can't be a 401k, 403b, 457, or HSA. These investment accounts have early withdrawal penalties or restrictions. And you need to be able to access your emergency fund penalty and restriction free, which I call being liquid. Instead, you can use a Roth IRA. An IRA just stands for Individual Retirement Account. Think of it just as opening up a checking account with a bank, but in this checking account, you can keep your money not only in cash, but also in investments. To break it down a little further, now that we know what an IRA is, the Roth part just means that you've already paid taxes on the money going into it when you earned it from your job, because your income taxes were taken out of your paycheck. Now, usually when you withdraw from a traditional retirement account, like a traditional IRA or traditional 401k, you'll need to pay taxes on that withdrawal. But the great thing is, money in a Roth account can be withdrawn in retirement tax-free, because you already paid taxes on it from your income before it went into the account. In reality, if your tax bracket is the same when you put money into the account as when you take money out of the account, whether you choose a traditional retirement account or a Roth retirement account, you will come out exactly the same. But the reason I like Roth IRAs is because, unlike traditional IRAs, the IRS has decided that contributions to a Roth IRA can be withdrawn penalty-free at any time. This is why Tax Form 5498 asks for your yearly Roth IRA contributions so the IRS can keep track of how much you've contributed to it over your lifetime, and therefore how much you can withdraw without penalty. It doesn't matter if the investments go up in value or down in value. As long as your account has enough money in it, you can withdraw the total amount you contributed for any reason. So for instance, if you put $1,000 in a Roth IRA and it grows to $2,000, you can withdraw $1,000 at any time, even before age 59 and a half, without any taxes or penalties. If you withdraw more than your contributions, then you'll need to pay taxes and a 10% penalty on that amount that's more than your contributions. So just don't do that. But there are a few rules about IRA contributions. First, you can only contribute to a Roth IRA if you've earned income for the year. Second, you can contribute up to $6,000 a year, $7,000 a year if you're 50 or older. And your modified adjusted gross income, which is roughly your income minus your 401k contributions, must be below $125,000 if you're single or $198,000 if you're married. But if you make too much money, you can still contribute to a traditional IRA, click one button to convert it to a Roth IRA, then magically the IRS doesn't care about your income, even though you just did the exact same thing. I've always wanted to ask the IRS about this, but I imagine the conversation would go something like this. Let me get this straight. So I can't put the money in here. Nope. But I can put the money in here. Yep. And then dump this envelope into this envelope. Yep. Isn't that the same thing? This approach is unofficially referred to as the backdoor Roth IRA. You gotta love tax loopholes. If you can't cover your emergency fund investments with just a Roth IRA, you can continue investing them in a normal, taxable investment account. It doesn't offer any tax advantages, but it's the other liquid investment account option. For checking and savings accounts, I like using Ally because their savings accounts have some of the highest interest rates available. And if you link it to an Ally checking account, you can keep your money in the savings account, and if you overdraft your checking account, Ally will just pull the money from your savings account without fees. For Roth IRAs, I like using Vanguard because of their extremely low fees, but I admit their site isn't very user-friendly. So for those who want an easier experience, I'd recommend Betterment. And the same goes for investment accounts, which both Vanguard and Betterment support. If you do go with Vanguard, you'll need to pick which funds to invest in. I have a particular handful of domestic, international, real estate, and small cap value funds I like to invest in. But going over those is a topic for another video. To keep things simple, if you invest in VTSAX, which is the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index, and just put everything into that, you won't go wrong. That's all for today. Love you guys. See you next time. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to see my next video, and comment down below about what you think, and I'll be sure to respond.